Good morning, Nation. John here. Can y'all see me and hear me? I know it's hard because I'm wearing camo, son. We're absolutely live this morning. How's everybody doing here? Lord Eagle, what's going on? Mama Bear, what's going on? Suzanne, how you doing? Misty, welcome to the coffee club. You're going to be glad you did that. Here shortly, I'll explain. Amelia, I love... Come on now. I love the wee little beaver. Oh, Lord. 5x5s all over the place, son. Bama Jen and the moderators, thank you very much. Princess Geofer, good morning. Brian, what's going on? Carl, Gutter Mouth Granny. Zamboni Driver, good morning. Gunslinger, Chief Indian, chat's flying. Uncle Charlie's here. He's everywhere. He's like grass. Katrina, awesome video yesterday. I posted that in the community section if y'all ain't checked it out yet. Rebecca, good morning, and good luck with Dynamite. Keeping him in line. Mechanic Mama, Outlaw Farms, good morning. Wiser Gaming, I'm glad you have gaming in your name. The thumbnail art this morning is actually from a very old video game, a cool one, called Resistance. I thought it was fitting this morning. Kelly, I see you. I know you're here. You were first in the house. Congrats on that. So, thank y'all for being here this morning and doing all the YouTube-y stuff and the thumbs sideways and up and down and all that, and hitting subscribe. You know, when you hit subscribe, it turns a different color, I'm told. So many new names. That's great. That means people are waking up or we are not being shadow banned. Dome Seeker, good morning. How are you doing, ma'am? So, quickly, tomorrow night, we were originally going to do a Christmas theme, but it's too early for Christmas. I think we're going to theme it as Cheap-a-Ween. Tomorrow night, we're going to be live. I'm going to do my best to have K-Man James here. It's going to be Halloween-themed, cheapskate-themed, you know, cheap stuff that preppers can buy, can gift maybe for Christmas, and also cheap things that preppers do, because we're cheap. A lot of us are cheap. And for the folks that are on Patreon and also in the coffee club, this morning at 10:30, if you can make it, we're going to have our weekly hangout. So I get to do this twice. I'll go, I'll fill the coffee up, drain the old main vein, and then I'll come back and we'll have a hangout. If you're in the coffee club, look for the link in the community section after this is over, and the link will hit Patreon for those folks that are over there for the after party. So, the fall of free humanity. Let's get into it this morning. Putin yesterday had, he made a statement. He was pressed on this issue. Do you have any plans to deploy nukes in Ukraine? Is that an option that's on the table? Yeah, we're going to get into Mr. Pelosi. That one's shady. I just saw that before we went live. He said no. Nukes in Russia are a defensive measure only, meaning if somebody invades Russia, they will deploy nukes. Beyond that, he has no intention whatsoever. Now, this is coming from Vladimir Putin. Take that with 10 grains of salt, but he is saying, officially, no. They are for defense only of our nation. And then the Pentagon was pressed on the basically the same question, and they said all options are on the table. They did not exclude deploying nukes preemptively. They did not exclude deploying nukes. They were asked specifically about against a non-nuclear country. And now they said everything's on the table. We're going to roll with the dirty bird this morning. Thank y'all for letting me know. So, well, I'm pulling on the drawstrings on my hoodie. So, the world got a little more dangerous when the Pentagon was making this statement. So we're going to jump on the poll because the poll ties into it this morning. Thank you, Elaine, and good morning. So let me see here. What do you think is the most likely for America in the end? So let me see. 17% of the live crowd say nuclear war. 38% say 1776 style revolution. I think that's what we need. I don't know that it's the most likely at this point. A USSR, Soviet Union style collapse, 27%. That's where my head's at, and I'll explain. And a 19% say a communist takeover. So, yeah, we're going to get right into it. Mike Haycock, thank you very much. So I'm going to make a case this morning. I think that we need a 1776. I'm not against the 1776. I think you get things done. But yeah, as Michael G just said, an economic collapse. But I think economic collapse is only part of it. I think we are in the final stages of America as we know it, just like the USSR was when they began to crumble. If you study the fall of the USSR, you're going to find that they had the failing economy. They couldn't get around it. A lot of that was due to the Cold War. They had a weakening military. Does that sound familiar? And they had special reforms, like social reforms that were taking place. Now, you can argue, they needed social reform because it was a communist regime. People needed rights and stuff. But the fact of the matter is, whether you agree or not, these social reforms began stripping away the identity of the USSR. And pretty soon, now see if this sounds familiar, folks, okay? Pretty soon, a lot of the citizens of the Soviet Union, they didn't know who they were anymore. They didn't know what their national identity was. They got into questioning, the national anthem. Why do things run the way they do? Are our founding fathers really oppressive, which they were, by the way? And then, again, this on top of a failing economy, soaring inflation, and the military was weakened beyond repair at that point. There was a coup attempt, a military coup attempt. It failed, but what ended up happening was you had two prominent figures now saying, hey, I'm running the country, and it was just mass chaos. And I happen to think that we are headed in this direction. Y'all let me know what you think, please, before we continue. Randy, they're going to at some point. Randy says if they try and change our national anthem, the war is on. Well, they're going to try. They're already saying it's oppressive and all this stuff. So it's the same playbook. And as I thought about this late last night, the Cold War had everything to do with it. The USSR got tied up into a Cold War, and they were spending their war chest out trying to keep up, and the economy totally collapsed. And here we are now getting into what I would argue a Cold War with China and Russia. And I think we're headed down the same road. But you know what? Maybe the United States was not responsible for collapsing the USSR. Conspiracy theory time, right? Maybe globalists did this on purpose. Because when you go back to the very early 80s or late 70s, you really have two world superpowers standing in the way. If you're a globalist, you have the USSR and you have the United States of America. Maybe layer by layer, they went in and they stripped away until the USSR collapsed. All right? Seems like the same thing is happening here, doesn't it? Layer by layer. Warlord TV, what's going on, Rob? They changed national gender and we do nothing. The anthem would not spark a war. I agree. People would complain about it. People would, get on social media and they would rage about it and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, there are too many passive people here in the United States. I didn't think that way prior to the pandemic, but watching how passive people were about being told what to do when it came to illegal mandates kind of changed my mind on that a little bit. So I think the United States, controlled demolition style, layer by layer, is being stripped away because we are we're the last remaining firewall when you get right down to it. Great Britain, they're not going to be able to stop globalists. All right? They're just not. France, no. Sorry. Canada, no. Australia, no. Germany, mm-mm. The United States is the last firewall that we have before we go complete 1984. And they're doing the same thing. It's the same thing that we saw in the USSR as it was falling. So if you want to prep for nukes, be my guest. The way I look at it, and this is personal opinion, I think it's a monumental waste of time and resources because I'm going to be prepping for the collapse of the United States. Now, here's the interesting part. If the USA collapses, the USA as we know it, if it collapses, then what do we do? Do we stand around? Do we wait on the UN or the WEF to swoop in and form some kind of provisional government and say, this is how you're going to live now? Or do we form our own provisional government and say, no, this is how we're going to live now? That remains to be seen. But I'll tell you this, everything in the free world is tied to the U.S. dollar. And as this collapse happens, it's not just going to affect the United States of America. You know, and this is perfect, again, if you're trying to initiate the reset, this is absolutely perfect because you're going to collapse everything that is attached to the U.S. dollar before you install a brand new system. Now, maybe I'm way down the rabbit hole this morning. If I am, I'm sorry, but I think that's what's going on. At least in my head last night about 12:30 at night. No, Don, you're exactly right. 8,000 illegals per day won't help unless the end goal is to form a North American union, kind of unify Canada, the United States, and Mexico, and then, become, subservient to something like the EU, to globalism. In that case, 8,000 illegals per day will help because it's affecting the United States. It's going to eventually affect Canada as well, because these people are going to run out of states to squat in, and they're going to have to move north. Canada's not, they're not immune to this. We are in many senses, we are the Alamo, and I hope it ends better than it did with the Alamo. We'll see. And I don't want to be like discouraging this morning, but the truth is the truth. Okay. We're losing our country right in front of our faces. All right. So that can sound very discouraging, but at the same time, if we're willing to stand up at the right time and we're willing to fight, it can actually be an improvement. Because honestly, I'm sick and tired of living in a wokeified America where people have become so worried about offending other people. If the right people stand up at the right time and they counterpunch and they say, no, we're not going to fall in line with the UN, because the thing about it is, if the United States falls like the USSR, there's going to be a lot of fighting. A lot of people are going to want that power and control. And this includes citizens of the former United States of America at that point. If people are willing to stand up and do something about it, we can have a better country than we have right now. We don't have to worry about things like medical tyranny and people taking money on the side in Congress and stuff like that. So, it is better to be governed locally, support your local warlord. Exactly, and I do. I got your back, Rob. When it comes down to it and it's counterpunch time, I got your back, man. I've told you this. Anyway, switching over. Breaking news. Breaking literally because he's got some broken bones, I think. Paul Pelosi, otherwise known as the man that is saddled for life with Nancy Pelosi, has been attacked. This is according to mainstream media in his San Francisco home. just prior to the midterm elections, man, what are the odds? You know, it's kind of like with the January 6th deal when Trump was trying to get the National Guard in D.C., and they said there was a mix-up or miscommunication. Pelosi turned it down outright. Pelosi's daughter, who is into video and audio and all this stuff, amateur filmmaker or whatever, just happened to have equipment set up there on the 6th. Like, what are the odds? She's filming a documentary. She gets all this stuff on video. Her documentary comes out weeks before the midterms. Folks, if y'all really believe Paul Pelosi was attacked this close to midterms, when they have a security detail, you know, you're gaslit. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, either this man was not attacked, or he woke up beside Nancy Pelosi, realized, hey, I'm married to Nancy Pelosi, and he threw himself down the steps. And I don't blame him. I would probably do the same thing. You know what I mean? No way to disprove it. Again, this is coming out of San Francisco. I'm sure all of the peace officers that arrived are on the level here. So no way to disprove it. But yeah, staged, exactly. I believe, this is my personal opinion, that it was staged. Because all of a sudden now, it's like a rallying cry on social media, I noticed just a few minutes ago. Chewed his own arm off, somebody said. Who said that? Come on, man. Oh, I missed it. But anyway, somebody said they chew their own arm off. But look, even if it's true, you did it to yourself. You're in San Francisco. You defunded the police. You don't want guns. You got a security detail. If a security detail can't keep you safe in the city of San Francisco, I can't think of a better reason that people should be armed. If you're married to the Speaker of the House and you got assaulted in your own house, your city ain't safe, son. So which is it? Is your city not safe and you've been blowing smoke for 2 years? Or did you throw yourself down the steps and say, oh, somebody assaulted me? There were 4. It's kind of like Barney Fife or something for y'all Andy Griffith fans. There was 5 of them. I took 4 of them down. The last one got me. Okay, Paul Pelosi, okay. Coyote Ugly. Man, if she was in that movie, if Nancy Pelosi was in that movie, I'm going to go throw myself down the steps right now. Because I watched it back in the day, and I didn't recognize her being there. He can put ice cream on his bruises. So that's breaking. The details are still waiting to come out, but yeah. Old Paul Pelosi. Why is chat about 10 minutes behind the live? I have no idea, Sherry. No idea whatsoever. Thank you for bringing that up, though, because sometimes the comments are behind. People leave comments after the video's done and things. And the reason that's behind is spam bots. Spam bots come over here and they spam comments with links to porn, and I have to go through and I have to delete all that nonsense. So those are behind, and that is on me. I don't want people seeing that crap. But as far as why it's behind right now, I don't know. Possibly the AI is filtering. Possibly, Bubby, I have no idea how that stuff works. I can barely put the right shoes on the right feet in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So yesterday's, thank y'all for the comments on yesterday's video and stuff. I was in my car for the last 2 days, so it was really hard for me to chat. We talked about a shortage on prednisone, at least here, amoxicillin here. Many of you jumped in and said, you know, you're seeing the same thing, especially with the amoxicillin. A couple of you mentioned prescription painkillers are really hard to get in your area. You normally get them. They can't fill them. Medical supplies. I think Dynamite's lady brought this up. I think she was saying everything from trachs on down to basic medical supplies are short right now. Mental health medications are short. This could also explain Paul Pelosi, because I guarantee you, if you're married to Nancy Pelosi, you are taking something. You are taking something, son. Either prior to getting married to her, as you don't know where you're at when you're standing at the altar, or after the fact. You're like, what I done did to myself here. Adderall is also short. Many of you were saying Adderall. A lot of people brought up fish amoxicillin yesterday, and also Jace Medical. I don't work for Jace Medical or anything, but I've heard a lot of good things about the company. You may try them before they're totally wiped out, because I'm sure as preppers start to see the shortage, they're all going to pivot over to places like Jace Medical and scoop it up. Good morning, Terabell. That's awesome. Good name. Terabell. Good morning. Northwest Prep Girl. Okay. Hopefully to see you there in a little while. Heading to the city today to get supplies. Haven't been in 2 months. It'll be interesting to see how things are stocked there. Let us know. Comment if you don't mind and let us know under the video. I'll try and find it and pin it. Let us know about shortages and prices. That's interesting. Trout on Dry, what's going on? So the cost of sugar is on the rise as well. I was just told this last night by... I don't want to call him an informant. It's a friend of mine, and they happen to prep, and I don't want to throw their name out here. But they said, the cost of sugar is becoming astronomical. I've not been out to check it yet, but I did some digging around. They are expecting sugar to get more and more expensive, into 2023 and beyond. They're saying candy right now, Halloween candy is the biggest culprit, but also major soft drink companies are hoarding this stuff up because they realize there's already a shortage, so they're scooping it up so their supply chain does not break down. And when she called my wife to tell her, I immediately said, get her to an Amish store. Promise you the Amish still have it. You're going to have to buy it in more bulk than you would at like a Food Line or something, but get it while you can get it. So if you don't have sugar stocked up, you may want to look into that. Most of you do, though, right? Well, that's fair enough. Zombie 5 says, what ain't cost on the rise? Could you tell me? It's all insane, son. That's fair enough. But, sugar seems to be going off the charts all of a sudden. No, Leslie, I'll have to dig into that. I haven't heard anything about that. Did anyone investigate the new law that Canada is trying to pass? Trudeau's always got some kind of crap going on. What do y'all call him? Sparkly socks, I think. The one that gives medical providers the go-ahead to euthanize adults and kids. Wow, okay. Yeah, let me know, please. First I've heard of that. Prepper Trucking, what's going on? So you're saying that we will divorce for certain, and it will be the U.S. and the Democratic Socialist States of America? No. I'm thinking that it's going to look a whole lot like the USSR. Now, as the USSR was collapsing, yeah, nation states started to jump, and I think we'll see some states jump, but I don't necessarily know if we're going to see a full-blown civil war, like national divorce, two sides. I think this thing could splinter all over the place as things get nasty. But, I would study, and you probably have the USSR as it was collapsing, like the inflation rates, things that were really hard to come by and stuff. And there was a lot of violence in the streets at that point. Yeah, 50 pounds at least, and that's normally what you can get at the Amish stores. Now, what it costs there right now, I don't know. I haven't been in a while. Honey, honey, honey. Paradise Acres calling me honey. I'm just picking. No wonder Canada outlawed handguns. They outlaw everything. Anything that's going to help people stand up to tyranny, they outlaw it. FJT, there's a new one, and I can understand why you're saying it too. What's going on, Vaughn? How you doing? Backcountry Preps is in the house. Ivan the Terrible, how are you? Good morning. So, I just wanted to mention this morning, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but look for the silver lining. The whole world's collapsing. The country's falling down at our feet. Oh my God, what are we going to do, right? We got 3 days left to live. 3 days. Look for the silver lining, though. Americans have become too spoiled. We really have. When you look at the early 1900s, when homesteading was just called living, and there was no homesteading movement, everybody was doing stuff. We become too focused on convenience. And I personally think, although there's going to be a lot of collateral damage, a lot of violence, a lot of shortages, I think, no, we're not all going to die. Hopefully you're just joking. Well, I mean, William, technically you're right. We're all going to die at some point, but I don't think, exactly. I don't think we're going to die during the collapse, not all of us. Cowboy in the Jungle, thank you again, by the way. I'll be bringing one of those bad boys over Saturday night to show everybody. So, getting back to the basics. You know, what's wrong with us getting back to the basics? You know how people used to do laundry at home and hang it out on a clothesline? Y'all remember that? We've done some of that. Clothesline, save a little bit on electricity. Remember when people cooked at home? Even sometimes made fires outside and cooked at home instead of eating fast food all the time and getting fat and getting unhealthy. And I'm not body shaming anybody. I got some extra poundage going on myself. Just saying. People were healthier and they seem to be a lot happier. What's going on, heathen? So there's silver lining in everything, okay? A lot of hard times on the way, a lot of hardship that we're going to have to endure. But I think people are going to have to be, if they're going to survive, they're going to have to begin focusing on the basics again. I think that's why we're seeing a bunch of new people showing up in the prepping community. And again, if you're brand new, welcome to Prepper Nation. Consider hitting subscribe so they can get us out of the basement. Dome Seeker, we cook at home and hang laundry. That is awesome. Thistle Moon says we still do most of that. That's fantastic, but most Americans don't. You know what I mean? Most Americans eat out of a microwave, whether it be at their local McDonald's or at home. You know, Hungry Man's and fish sticks and stuff like we talking about. So, you know, it could be a good thing, kind of a good reset, if you will. I know there's a bad one on the horizon too, but a good reset, getting back to basics. We'll see. So Elon Musk went in late yesterday evening, I think, and he fired all of the top executives at Twitter. All of them. All of the top executives. He gave them walking papers. Hasta la vista, son. Here's your 2 weeks worth of pay. I don't think this guy is the savior of free speech, but I did enjoy seeing it because when you go to the social media accounts of these top executives, they have a history of tweeting they're condescending and talking down on people. Like they're way up here and you little peons are going to fall in line. And he just went through and said, hey, you don't have a job anymore. You know, good luck at Starbucks or wherever your wokified self's off to next. Probably not going to be the only people that lose their jobs at Twitter. It's going to be interesting to see what free speech looks like over there. He put out a brief statement yesterday. He said everybody should have a voice on Twitter. You know, liberals should have a place on Twitter. They should be allowed to speak their piece. So should conservatives. So we're going to see. Banned from Twitter. Well, you might want to recheck that in a couple of weeks. You might be unbanned. They're going through and doing a whole lot of that. That would make a good shirt. Woke-amageddon. Woke-amageddon. I've never heard that before, and it's freaking funny. But now if you say woke, they say it's racist to say that. I said globalist last week on Twitter, and I got called a racist for saying globalist. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, I don't really care, but I just thought it was interesting. You know what I mean? Everything's racist. Well, Kyle Clay, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. He's like, I don't give a frack for you Battlestar fans about Twitter, but there are a lot of liberals over there. And if you can get facts in front of them, 90% of them, they're gaslit beyond repair. They're not going to wake up. But it is a platform. It's a large platform where you can maybe wake some people up and make them understand, okay, you're being used. So, everything that we can use to try and wake people up, to me, is a good thing. So the EU, any fans of the EU? Where's Ink Scars? I miss that middle finger this morning. Nerd alert. I do too, Amelia. I do too. Apollo and Starbuck. The newer one, not the older one. The 70s version kind of cheesy, but I still watch it. EU has adopted a ban on gas-powered cars by the year 2035. So in the year 2035, moving forward, the EU demands now that it is illegal to produce gas cars. Why does anybody listen to these clowns? They're not a real country. The EU is not a real country. You know what I'm saying? I could design a flag here, hang it up, pretend to be a country. Their president is not a real president. These are rich people cosplaying as a country. And all of these other nations are just falling in line with them. Come on now, Carl, come on, man. It was not better. Come on. There's parts of the show that are, a little cheesy on the good side. I did like Adama in the 70s, but I don't know. Anyway, why does anybody listen to the EU or the UN? Why do we care what they think? Why do these car companies and these nation states not just pull? I got a tie on, y'all. Somebody said tie time. Why do they not just pull out of the EU and say, forget you? Say, here, let me FaceTime Ink Scars real quick. This is what we think. And Ink Scars can fly them the bird or whatever, dust it off for them, and say, go on. Go pretend to be a country somewhere else. Why are people falling in line just because the EU is run by billionaires? They're buying influence within governments, including the United States. And it sucks. And it's something that triggers me. I don't know. I get triggered by it. I also get triggered by the fact that Beto is moving up in the polls in Texas. They're saying it's going to be very close in Texas. Beto O'Rourke. Maybe if I say that again, they'll feature the video. Beto O'Rourke here on YouTube. He's moving up in the polls. They're saying, now, believe what you will when it comes to the polls, but they're saying, hey, he's getting very close. He's getting very close to becoming the governor. That's not his real name. Beta, maybe, as I've also heard it called. God, please, guys, if y'all live in Texas, vote. Even if you don't think it works and you think it's 20 minutes wasted of your time, please go vote so this clown does not become governor of Texas. I don't know, because he takes Texas and then we never win another election because they have too many electoral votes, and then social credit is installed. Kentucky country, how you doing? Good morning, thank you. And then I'm beat because my social credit score sucks. I promise you it does. Promise you. Like many of the other people in this chat, our social credit, we ain't gonna be able to do anything. They ain't gonna let me in a Dollar General, and them things are everywhere. When I try and go in, they're gonna be like, no, you said something nasty on Twitter, you can't come in. Imagine an employee telling you can't come in a store like that, or your card getting declined. Thank you. I'm about to vote today in Texas, John. Abbott, lead the way. Thank you. Guttermouth Granny. Doesn't the word globalist literally include every race there is? Yeah, to me, globalist means somebody with an insane amount of money buying influence all over the place for the sake of globalism. I don't even know how that got twisted into race, to be honest with you, but they are making that parallel now. We all know our social credit sucks. I'm going to be on a Huffy. If this social credit thing takes off, I'm going to be on a Huffy because I'm not going to be able to drive. They ain't going to sell me gas. I ain't going to be allowed to have a car. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to limit our movement, everything. I will offer the clerk silver or lead. The clerk at the Dollar General, where I'm at, man, he may take you down. He's like 300 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, and he'll knock you on the floor. I'm just messing with you. I don't think he's taking you down. Somewhere in West Texas, how are you doing? Maybe it is who I hang with, but ain't no one voting for Beto. Vote and watch the polls. Watch for unmarked vans. I saw something earlier. I think this was in New York State, though. Video of police officers going around removing Republican signs. They had them stacked up. The Republican that is running there, just stacking them up, getting rid of them. They've been told to go out and get rid of them. Be a poll watcher. There you go. Piney Creek says, I voted yesterday. That fool will make our school kids get the jab. He will. Yeah, he said as much. Homeschool, here I come. And you're not going to be able to do anything about it because it's going to take your guns, Texas. Please do not let this man in. I don't know if Texans realize this. Some of you probably do, but the rest of the country looks at Texas and we're like, y'all are the A team. You know what I mean? Y'all are the starting lineup for us conservatives. If they take Texas, if Beto wins Texas, we're going to be putting the backups in, trying to defend this country, trying to defend freedom. There you go. There you go. Thank you. I'm nervous now. I mean, you can always move. And I've heard a lot of people, Kelly, say, well, I'll just move if it happens. But we're running out of places for conservatives to go. You know, if DeSantis is not going to be the governor for the next 100 years in Florida. Moving to Florida seems like it makes sense. But then it's just a matter of time before a Democrat gets hold of Florida. And then, you know, you can't run forever, right? At some point, you got to make your stand. And we're running out of places for conservatives to run to. And Democrats who continue to vote Democrat and then run. I don't understand those people. Finally, Amazon. Their stock fell 15% yesterday as they put out a warning statement. They said it's going to be a winter of discontent. They're blaming eroding customer buying power. In other words, the U.S. dollar's not worth what it used to be. And they're saying people are spending less money. They're making less money. And because of inflation, Amazon's in trouble. They're saying the only company so far, major company, that's not being heavily affected is Apple. I don't understand it. Not a huge fan of Apple, to be honest with you. They're saying that's the only company. Amazon is telling people, hey, we got a serious economic issue. This thing ain't going away anytime soon. And so, batten down the hatches. Financially speaking, prepping-wise, batten down the hatches. LG Homestead, thank you for wrecking my morning. I'm just picking. Polls in Oklahoma are too close as well. Oklahoma, I'm weird in this way because when I look at Oklahoma and Texas, I know they're not the same state, and I know college football and stuff, but they're so much alike. If those two fall, America's in serious trouble at that point. Thank you, by the way. So, I got 3 cards this morning. Sorry, moderators, but I got 3 cards. First, I was thinking about the video the other morning because, again, I got bags hanging up right now that some of them have stuff in them. Some of them are just there, hanging up, nothing in them. Preppers, how many bags, bug-out bags, are too many? Let's say, you got a family of 4. Because I need some intervention or something. I got a serious problem when it comes to bags and ammo cans. How many bags are too many? Savage Lee says Oklahoma is more red than Texas. I believe Texas has been purple for a while. Check our gun laws. But the issue is if Oklahoma falls, what do you think the gun laws will look like at that point, you know? The dude says 2. Michael G says I have 3. I ain't got none, can't bug out. I would at the very least, Quinn, I would have a bag or something the equivalent of in my vehicle. Maybe a get home bag in case that went down. More than 4 per person is too many. Well, you're a dream killer, Wilson. You're killing a man's dreams over here. Matter of fact, that comment cuts me deep. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Yeah, there you go. I counter it with that, you dream killer. Pilgrim's like, my eyes. 2 per person for a family of 6. Okay, fair enough. Crimes against the eyes. Wow. Black Cat, wow. I'm going to try and throw some more stuff like that together for tomorrow night. I've got to make sure James is coming, though. I'm going to text him or call him during the exclusive hangout here in a little while to see what's going on there. So anyway, second, this comes from Facebook. Lori on Facebook, excellent question. She posted, if you came into $1,000 somehow, maybe Joe sends it to you, maybe Pelosi says, hey, you pay too much in taxes. I'm doubting it. Doubting that's going to happen. But if you came into $1,000 free money, what are you buying prep-wise? What are you concentrating on at that point? No, Klaus. No. It's too early for that. I'm 3 cups of coffee in, and it's still too early. Silver all day. Buying more ammo. Water. Generator. I'm bringing it up. It's an excellent question, but it had a ton of comments over on Facebook. And they were all over the place. So, land. If you find land for $1,000, decent sized land, you let me know. I'll bite on that. If it's nearby. Meat. Ammo. Guns and ammo. Heat source. Power backup or ammo. Everybody's saying ammo. Well, just about everybody. What y'all expecting violence then? Back to the woods. How are y'all doing? Just posted in the community section yesterday. Somebody was reviewing one of y'all's good to go bug out bags, and it looked awesome, man. Congrats on that. Y'all put a great bag together. Ammo. Plates. And for you folks that are brand new to prepping, I don't think they're talking about dinner plates. That would be a great one. Ham radio set up. I seen that $1,000 post. She didn't say anything about guns. She said no more ammo, so I'd be buying a new gun or 2. You can probably get a couple of decent ones at a pawn shop for $1,000, but they'll put you on the list. Finally, can somebody please explain to me, give me your thoughts on this, but also explain to me, talk to me like I'm in 3rd grade when it comes to technology, because I basically am. Web 3. For you tech-savvy people, Web 3, I know somehow I get the vibe this is going to be used to control us digitally, but I'm not a tech person, so how afraid should I be of Web 3? And how much should I avoid Web 3 or Web 3.0 at what cost? You know, is it that big of a deal? Because I keep seeing Web 3 is freedom of the internet, but I also see Web 3 is going to be used to control and track and stuff like this, 1984 stuff. That's what I'm sitting here saying, Paradise Acres. I've heard of it, I know what it is, but never heard of it. Not a clue. What is Web 3? So apparently, hey, I'm with the right crowd over here because none of us know anything about it. Web 3, no more than the interweb that you're on right now. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing from different people, Bama Jen. It's a digital identity, stay away from it. So the only thing that I've really researched on Web3 is like your entire online existence is tied into one place. You know what I mean? Kind of like Google. You know how you buy stuff and it's like sign in with Google, sign in with Google, sign in with Google. That, except the web would require it everywhere. Whether you're shopping, whether you're, you know, playing video games, whatever the case may be, social media, all of it's tied in together. When I saw it, it kind of reminded me of a tie-in for a social credit score. You know, a way that they're going to find out what you're doing online to make sure you're not being naughty online and stuff. But again, I'm with Yankee Watchdog here. What is it? I really don't. We do, Jim Smith, we do have a digital identity online, but I think the way they were saying was right now, some of your information is harvested by Facebook, some of it's harvested by Google, some of it's harvested by other companies, and they're trying to tie it all in together. And they said it would be more convenient this way. Web3 is just another avenue for censorship. Complete tracking. Carrie, you're probably right. They already got our number. In between what we're doing over here on Google, and then we've been known to tweet out some very conservative stuff. Savage Lee, I know they've already got it, but I'm saying right now they is actually several different companies, and they have to communicate this stuff back and forth because they have to get you to click that little thing saying, yeah, I'll allow all of my data to be transferred to you in exchange for a free game. And they're saying with Web3, there is no more box to click. You're giving it all to one company or one server, if you will. Centralized consumer tracking. So what do y'all want to talk about for the next 8-10 minutes? Are we done here? Do y'all want to talk about anything else? Has anybody seen the news on Pelosi's husband anymore? Any more details on that, maybe? Do they already have a 60 Minutes documentary queued up on how he was attacked and all that? We the People says we should all be on Rumble. The idea with Web3, to my understanding, is there would be no outside the boundaries at that point. Everything, in order to access the internet, it's all tied into one central place. She did it. Paul, you drink it again? Boom. Give him the beat down. Chinese taking over farmland. Yeah, that's a great topic. We'll do the diesel shortage too. I haven't heard a whole lot more about it, Jerry, one way or the other. I haven't seen where they fixed it. It's just dwindling down. I don't know. Somebody said, didn't we have a shortage a couple of months back? I think that was the diesel engine fluid or something. This is the actual diesel fuel that they're reporting as being short. But yeah, this is another reason, John Mack, that I don't think nukes are going to be deployed. Why would they? You don't have to nuke the United States of America. You know what I mean? The people that would initiate something like that, they already own, I'm just spitballing the number because I don't really know. I would say they already own 60 or 70% of our government, our politicians. They already own our financial institutions. They already own most of our universities. They already own a lot of land here, a lot of businesses here, and they've made us solely dependent, like the medications and stuff, on China. So why would you nuke this place? If anything, the United States is an investment of China at this point. They got way too much tied up into us. And they're just going to continue to scoop up farmland. They're pricing farmers out. I know Gates is one of the belligerents as well, but you know the Chinese as well. They're all scooping up farmland as farmers cannot afford to stay in business anymore, and they're getting out of it to find something else, and they're scooping it up for pennies on a dollar. Mike, did you talk about dirty bomb accusations? We did the other day, flying back and forth, possible false flag. I don't want to say disregarded, but I think it was setting up to be a possible false flag, and then Russia kind of put a spotlight on it and said, look, they're getting ready to do this. So I don't know that they would use a dirty bomb now. Maybe another. I think there's a false flag coming for sure that's going to bring the UN and its allies into war, but I don't know that it would be a dirty bomb. Could be totally wrong on that. How do you view the diesel supply? Well, if what they're saying is true, we got, what is it, guys? Roughly 20 days, 20-ish days left of diesel fuel. I think the Biden administration, they'll scramble. They'll try and buy supply from somewhere else for a little while. But if it dries up like they're saying it's going to dry up, I mean, everything dries up. You know what I mean? Because as we talked about the other morning, everything from farm equipment to trucks to a lot of your heavier equipment that you use at docks and everything, that stuff's off the table. 23 days. Thank you. This is, I'm going to call it a conspiracy theory, but I think that there is some fact in there. I don't know that for sure. German Ninja, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, all working together to finalize the one world order. It is possible. It's a hard, the thing is, that's a hard idea or a hard concept to sell to most Americans, especially because Americans are so divided on Ukraine and Russia. You know, they're split right down the middle. So convincing them that they're all in bed together, I think that there's probably some truth there. But again, I can't prove it. I can't point to specific proof and say this is why. Let's talk about UN Agenda 2030. I think a lot of things, Jeremy, that we're seeing right now tie into 2030. You know, the movement to go green, this obsession with going green, shooting ourselves in the foot to go green and save the planet. All of the supply chain breakdown that's due, I would say, to the COVID-19, the controlled demolition that's going on, the reset of the dollar, all of this stuff, the war that we're getting ready to see and that we're seeing now, it's all tied into 2030. By 2030, for better or for worse, I would say much worse, they want everything digital. They want everything tied in where they can track you. The social credit scores that we were talking about earlier, for anybody that doesn't know, that just means if you're deemed a bad citizen, you're saying negative things online, your card can be declined. You go in to pay for something at the store, the bank declines it, and they, because your score is too low. And that sounds far-fetched, but it's actually happening in China right now. And I know we're not China, but look, folks, they're buying us up piecemeal. Eventually, this place is going to look like China. That's their plan anyway. Big German, railroad strike could be coming. I dug around on that last night, and what I saw was there's a smaller union that may be going on strike, something to do with the Railroad Signal Union or something like this. So it's not going to be all employees. I think it was 6,000 nationally might be going on strike. I don't know that would completely shut down the rail lines. Maybe it would, but I was expecting a lot more than 6,000 when I saw it, which is why I didn't even write it down. I think it would have some impact for sure, though. I've heard that as well. I've heard the Vatican is pulling the strings, or the Vatican is tied into it. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that. I haven't really studied that in great detail. I'll tell you the Vatican and the Red Cross were heavily tied into Nazis escaping post-World War II and getting out of Nazi Germany. You know, falsifying paperwork and stuff like that. You can go in and you can study and you can find information on that, like ironclad evidence that they were conspiring with the Nazis. Here we go, Oklahoma Jim, what's going on? And because the reason I bring that up, I don't trust either one of them. I don't necessarily trust the Vatican or the Red Cross for this reason. 70 likes. Well, Kelly, that might have something to do with me throwing the dance video out. That was kind of dirty of me. German Ninja, I hope they don't succeed, but to wake people up in the United States in 2022, it takes an insane amount of truth to get them to open their eyes. These people are gaslit beyond repair. You know, you've got, I mean, when you think about it, okay, BLM, I'm going to use BLM as an example, okay? They were raising and funneling money to leaders who were buying mansions. Proven. They've got a paper trail proving this. And yet you still have people gaslit to the point where they are willing to ride and go to jail because they think BLM stands for something totally different. All mainstream media outlets gaslight people. Sorry, I know Fox News fans are in here. They do it too. They're either better at gaslighting people with propaganda or they don't do it as often. MSNBC has got to be the worst I've ever seen because they do it nonstop and they're terrible at what they do. If you're going to pitch propaganda and gaslight people, at least be good at it. At least learn your craft. It's amateur hour over there. But because people have been lied to for so long and accepted so many things that aren't true as truth, it takes, I mean, you still have people masking up with surgical masks. I understand if you're, immune compromised or something, but you still have people that are putting them on because they think they work. And you can point to stacks of evidence that say, no, these don't work, actually. Probably get flagged for saying that, right? How many booster shots do we need? And how much collateral damage from those shots do we have to point to the paperwork of? I mean, think about that. We'll close with that, but this is gaslighting 101, okay? You're telling people you need to go out and get your 6th and your 7th and your 8th booster because they work. They're for the greater good. Be a good American. And the whole time, people like us are pointing to documents that they tried to hide for 75 years. These companies did not require their own employees to get this shot. And they're trying to hide documentation. They lose it. They went to court to try and hide this stuff. The stuff comes out because the courts forced them to. They admit, okay, this stuff jacks people up and doesn't really help. You point to these documents, and you still have people lining up for the booster because they still believe what they see on TV. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's gaslighting 101. These people have been lied to so much they don't know what's going on anymore, and they really do think. It's like the as we call them, the useful idiots, the commies here in the United States. They really think a communist revolution is a good thing. They think by upending the United States of America into a communist country, they're going to gain some kind of footing in communist America. No, they're going to be purged. They're going to be purged. If communists take the United States of America, they know these people are idiots. They don't want these people around. They're using them like a dirty diaper. But these people are gaslit so hard, they don't see it. If they saw it, they would be over here with us trying to fight a communist revolution. But they think they're doing something glorious. It's nuts to me. Anyway, sorry for the rant there at the end. I'm going to go get some more coffee and set up the hangout lobby. Remember, if you are in the coffee club, the link is going to populate here in a few minutes in the community section on the YouTube page. For the folks on Patreon, it'll show up over there. Hopefully, I'll see some of y'all over there. If not, I'll just sit here and talk to myself in my raggedy camo. But thank y'all for being here. For the rest of you, we will see you tomorrow night, and we are doing, I think we're calling it Cheap-a-ween. Just saying. God bless.